So we're all familiar with the phenomenon of the New Year's resolution. A highly effective and deeply transformative habit that most of humanity has in the Western world. It is extremely effective from about January 1st to about January 14th. And then it's finished. And, largely, largely it is fairly useless. And, in a way, like, so type A personality, lots of resolutions have come and gone in my life. And, but in a way, like that kind of makes sense. Does it really make sense that we should be successful in directing our lives based on our human will, like based on our, small will, right? There's a famous joke that I like to repeat that I think came from some nuns in a convent, but don't quote me on that. The famous joke goes, do you want to make God laugh? Do you want to tell God a really good joke? Then tell God your plans for your life. And so when we do these kinds of, New Year's resolutions, we're really bringing our human selves and deciding things that we cannot really be the decider of, meaning like we're deciding the direction of our lives, right? But what if we could bring our greater selves to the conversation? What if we could harness our union with the divine and bring that into the equation? What if we could invite our greater selves and our higher will to give some direction for the coming year, right? Then perhaps we would have a beautiful outcome, because our higher self is in on this with us, right? It's not some egoic proclamation of what we will be doing, right? But it is really a co-creation with the divine. And, furthermore, resolutions are often given in a kind of pass-fail format, like, I will lose 30 pounds this year, right? And so then what? If you lose 20 pounds, did you fail? If you lose 10 pounds, did you fail? If you didn't lose any weight, but you learned a lot about yourself, did you fail? So as we know, like in spiritual practice, it is really not arriving at a particular destination that matters. Because as soon as we arrive somewhere, there's further to travel that opens up in front of us. Every step that we take changes us and calls us to take different and new paths and steps in our life. Truly, from the place you are today, it would be almost ludicrous to think that you could accurately map out who you will be in 12 months, especially on a spiritual path like this, where we're changing and growing so incredibly rapidly. We're constantly dying and being reborn, and dying and being reborn, and dying and being reborn, right? So we should not be fixated on any particular goal. We should instead be much more fixated on how we walk the journey. Right? So how are we relating to our journey towards the goal? Right? How are we walking towards God? Those are deep and meaningful questions. But the path is there. But we don't see the path necessarily, right? And so if that's the case, then besides the choice to walk the path, the actual choice to dedicate ourselves to God and to surrender to the will that God has for us, besides that choice, the most important thing becomes, how are we walking the path? You know, how we progress, how we are reborn, how we walk our journey is as important as the journey itself. In fact, it is the journey itself. So we should not think about our year from our human perspective. And we should not think of our orientation as towards a specific concrete goal. So that's what we're going to talk about today. How should one approach end of year introspection and new year planning? See, people have a very natural upwelling within them to do some reflection and introspection as the year winds down. You know, the darkness of this time of year naturally leads us to be more inward focused. And as this is the end of the darkness, we naturally start to focus on the return of the light to the planet and the return of the light to our lives. And then how shall we make best use of the light that is going to return to our lives, right? So that's the sort of metaphysical background for this drive for New Year's resolutions. We know that the darkness is coming to an end. The darkness is encouraging us to sort of indwell and retreat and look within. And yet we know that the darkness is ending and the light will return. And we will be illuminated by that light and brought to a new potency, and a new cycle will begin. And so how then shall we relate to this change, to this new dynamic that is about to come into our lives?